Every nurse has a patient that reminds them why they became a nurse in the first place. Mine was Joe. Joe was in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's. He had moments with and moments without his memory. But the hardest part about the aging condition for Joe were his night terrors. He would wake up in the middle of the night screaming absolute bloody murder. But if I just went in there and held his hand for a few moments, I could usually get him to calm down. But then he wanted to talk. He would ask me if I could change his treatments, and I'd say, "No, Joe, I can't. I'm just a nurse." "Well, what about my medications? Can you fix those?" And I'd say, "No, Joe, I can't. I'm just a nurse." But because I couldn't do those things for Joe, we connected on other levels. He would ask me about volleyball. We would talk about his grandbabies. And he would tease me about being the only nurse on the unit that can reach the gauze on the top shelf. It was a lot of laughs with Joe. But then one night, everything changed. I found him in his room crying. And I went over to him and I lifted his head up out of his hands and I said, "Joe, I know that this is really hard, but you are not defined by this disease. You are not just Alzheimer's. You are still Joe." And he looked right back at me, almost to look through me, and said, "Nurse Kelly, then the same goes for you. Although you say it all the time, you are not just a nurse. You are my nurse, and you have changed my life because you have cared about me." And that's when it hit me. Patients are people with family and friends, and I don't want to be a nurse that ever pretends, because you're not a room number and a diagnosis when you're in the hospital. You're a person, very first. And Joe reminded me that day that I'm a lifesaver. I'm never going to be just a nurse.